Hi guys, YuGiOhSmurf here, and real quick I want to apologize for, again, not getting a video up on Monday. Time's been short, but that's all I want to say on that. On to the actual content of this video. Today I'm going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Style versus deck. Now, if you don't know what a versus deck is, you'll have to look at Magic. It's not actually just one deck, it's two decks that they specifically made and engineered to battle each other to be even and just to overall face each other in a fun manner. So each versus deck or decks is its own little format that you can just play with anything and just know that these two decks are evenly matched. Of course, some things you just can't change. In Yu-Gi-Oh! The most comparable thing to a versus deck would be structure decks. However, those are like once every pack that you get a structure deck. They're just too few and too far between for them to actually be considered made to fight each other. They're made to start a more structured form of play, not actually meant to play each other. Also, structure decks are not comparable in level. Let's just take for a moment the new Lightsworn structure deck and compare it to the Cyber Dragon structure deck. Granted, both have their really nice, unique combos that can win the game. Which deck does it more frequently? The Lightsworn structure deck or the Cyber Dragon structure deck? Clearly, there's a power gap. If you never played either one, I'd suggest playing them. I actually do find them both fun. So, the question is, what would we use? We, as Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, what would we use to have versus decks? And I've looked at this a little bit on the internet and stuff, and people have actually already made their own versus decks. They're not necessarily always two different decks. Sometimes they're two decks that have not like a whoever gets this first wins. It's a alright, I have to use the same cards as you to beat you. So what type of decks would you use to satisfy this evenly matched thing? Well, you go back in time. You look which two decks had really good matches, or which deck in general had a really good one-on-one match. Like, one example that I've come up with while looking online is a deck called Goat Control. It relies on Metamorphosis, Scapegoat, and Thousand Eyes Restrict to manipulate your opponent's field so that way they can't attack. Simple enough, right? Historically speaking, which is weird to say because it's not that old, these two decks had very good matches together, and quite frequently the person who had better knowledge of the tools in the deck won. Also, of course, with a little luck, it is a card game, there's luck involved, I don't care who you are. But are there any other decks that we can use to make versus deck? Versus deck is cool and all with Goat Control, but if you only have one versus deck, you're gonna get tired of playing it. No matter how fun or how high of a thought competitive game you have to play to win, it'll eventually get boring and you won't want to play it. You need variety. So I was thinking of two examples on my own that would be good versus decks. And I came up with the Princess Rivalry, which, if you don't know what that is, because it's my own little name for it, it revolves around Princess Pikura, I think I'm saying that right, and Princess Kuren. They're both very similar cards. One gains life, one burns life. They both revolve around summoning their bigger version and then burning or gaining more. They're two opposites of coin, kind of like yin yang, and I thought that those two cards, those two decks, would be very good versus each other, as well as adding kind of like a fun little aspect to it. Another idea that I was thinking about is E-Dragons, and I'm talking before anything got hit. We're talking 3 babies each, 3 big daddies each, and 1 tuner in like every deck. And those decks had a really good match up versus each other. To the point that the person who knew how to play the cards better won, with a little bit of luck involved. So those were my ideas. Now comes the time when you actually have to make the deck list. Personally, when E-Dragons were big, I hated them. I didn't want nothing to do with them. I didn't care. I hated them. I actually made random rogue decks that specifically beat out Dragon Rulers because I hated them so much. The only thing that deck was meant to do was to survive Dragon Rulers and kill them. That's what I made for the deck. So I have no idea how to start that. So if you do, go ahead and post some stuff in the comments that will help me out making them. Also, with the Rivalry of the Princesses. This is where I think I've got it pretty good and set. I have actually made 2 deck lists for Curran and Picora, and I've been testing them a little bit and slowly when I can. And I think I've come up with 2 deck lists that work well with each other. Remember that these decks are not meant to be broken and overpowered in any format. They're meant to be equal with each other. You can check out the deck list now on the screen. Remember to hit pause. Do you have any ideas on what other versus decks we could make? You got a deck list, or do you already have some on your own that you just play with friends for fun? What do you think of my examples? If Konami sponsored these types of decks and actually made versus decks, would you spend your money on them? Or someone else's money on them? And would you play them? Do you think it's interesting? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what other people think. That's why I'm on YouTube. I'm searching other people's videos. I want to know what you, my viewers, and my subscribers hopefully, think. Have a wonderful day, guys.